Let me ask you something. If you were sitting here in my place in front of this strange camera, about to talk about yourself, or in front of a blank screen talking about yourself, how would you feel? A bit awkward? A bit don't know what to say? Or a bit intimidated even? Or none of the above? It's quite natural. It's all part of the human reaction to talking about ourselves. You know, for years, I've found talking about myself an absolute nightmare. I'm a copywriter. I can write about you with my eyes closed. Not a problem. Myself, whole hellhole. Because, as a general rule, human beings, we think we're insignificant. We think we've done nothing special in our lives. We think that no one's going to be interested in what we're going to say. In fact, on the contrary, if we start talking about ourselves too much, people are going to get pissed off. They're going to say, you know, what's he going on about? What's he bragging about again? You may think your life is boring because you live it from the inside, but other people don't. I want to just tell you one quick story. Neil Gaiman, who is no slouch in terms of achieving things himself, was at a meeting of the great and good, this Nobel Prize, full of Nobel Prize winners. It was a lifetime achievement award type thing. And he was thinking to himself, well, what have I done? I've done nothing special. Yeah, apart from selling a few million books, Neil, you've done nothing special. But he got talking to this little old man, also called Neil, and they were just bonding over their shared first name, having a chat and everything. And this little old man was saying the same thing. I've done nothing special. You know, I just went where I was told to go. What's so remarkable about that? Yeah, that little old man, also called Neil, was called Neil Armstrong. So if Neil Armstrong can think he's done nothing special, I think there's hope for us all. So getting back to not knowing where to start. So for the sake of this video, I put together a three-stage process, if you like, to get all this stuff out of your head onto a piece of paper or onto the video, and help you kind of get over this reticence. The first stage is clearing the head trash. Now, this comes with a big caveat. I am no mental health professional. This is just this is what worked for me. We feel all the time that we're not very good, or we feel that other people would judge us, or if they don't judge us, then no one would be listening. That's kind of ironic, because if no one's listening, how can they judge you? But it's also the best time to start getting stuff out there, because you will be bad at the beginning. There's no two ways about it. I've been bad, I mean, I'm probably quite bad now, but I'm turning up and I'm getting better, because that's the only way you get better, is just to continue turning up, practicing and getting better. So when no one is listening, that's the time to write it down. Write down without any filter, because who's going to care? No one's going to see. Because what will come out is the stories that you need to tell, and that's what people are looking for. That's what people are interested in these days. You cannot move on the internet or in the podcast sphere, if that's a word, for something about storytelling. Everybody and his mate is talking about storytelling, because that is what connects us. Now, there is a certain amount of vulnerability involved there or here, but I think simply because there's not the pressure to publish, because you don't have to publish, really don't. You're just getting the stuff out now, then that should be fine. You know, when I did this, I wrote 20,000 words in 3 weeks. It just went splurge. A lot of the stuff that I wrote will stay on my hard drive forever, because they're my secrets. But there's something about writing this stuff down, which means you've already told somebody. The stuff that you're uncomfortable about, you're shaking it all out, basically. You've told somebody without telling somebody. But there's some other stuff. I thought, oh, actually, that's not so bad. And it made it into my first book. So It's a win-win situation. Now, let's get hold of some of those limiting beliefs and wring their old necks. The second stage is perhaps a bit easier, almost, and that's to map your life out. Now, you can take your weapon of choice, be it a spreadsheet. I use a Trello board, but you can have even a very big sheet of paper, lots of sheets of paper stuck together, if you like. And you're going to draw a timeline. You're going to divide your life up into, let's say, 5-year chunks. And for each of those chunks, you're going to, and I'm including your school years as well, because that's the time where you were at peak learning at school. Hey, for each period, you're going to write down what you learned, what you were doing first, what you learnt, who were your mentors, who were your friends, who were your enemies as well. The final section is joining all the dots. Now, there's a number of ways to do this. The best way is to do it with somebody else. I mean, they could be doing the same thing as you, and what you're going to do is you're going to review each of your work, basically. When I say somebody else, somebody preferably to whom you are not related, and with whom you are not in a romantic relationship, simply because those people know you too well. So they're going to come in with prejudices and things. But you're going to try, like I say, you're going to try and connect the dots. It wasn't me who managed this, but it was pointed out to me that I'm a copywriter now. I've been a translator, so that informs the way I write from a bilingual or multilingual point of view. Before that, I was a travel agent in Paris in the 80s, a business travel agent. So I learned how to build relationships and things, which is quite useful for what I do now. Before that, I've got a degree in history, so I know what's important, what's not important. I can see trends, I can interpret things. All the stuff that I do now, and I could take it right to the extreme, because my love of languages dates back to when I was a kid, when we went to my father worked for the railways, and we went to Spain every year, and I saw other kids speaking other languages. It took me a while to work it out, because I thought, what's all this about? They must think in English. You know, you don't know what you don't know when you're 8. But once you've worked out where the turning points are, where the points of transformation are, think about this in terms of how does it inform your work? How does it inform your business? What you do in your day-to-day, what your big goals are, what your ethics are, what your principles are, because they will all come from your experience. So the big question to answer is, where's the transformation in what you do? This will lead you to your philosophy. Call it your why if you like, but that's kind of overused these days. But what really lights you up? What gets you out of bed in the morning with a hop, skip and a jump, if you do get out of bed like that? And I guess this comes down to what problem you're solving. Donald Miller talks about there's 2 different problems that you are solving. You're solving the external problem, which is, oh, my computer's broken down. That's fairly transactional. Then there's the internal problem, when the person whose computer's broken down has thought, well, think of all the things I can't do with my computer. I might not make payroll, and I have a load of angry staff, or I might not be able to do my fulfillment, so I've got a load of angry customers and stuff like that. These are the problems that you solve. And these are the things that you are going to be able to talk about, because they've come from you, from inside of you, from your stories. I want to leave you with one point. Nobody is unique. No one does a job that nobody else does. Nobody has a business that nobody else has without competitors. Not really, because otherwise they wouldn't really have a business, unless they've seriously cornered the market, and I don't know of anybody that's done that. So, if you're an accountant, if you're a lawyer, if you're, I won't say teacher, I don't know, a graphic designer, for example, there's loads of others. How do people tell the difference between you and all the rest? I mean, particularly for accountants, because they've got exactly the same product. Lawyers, largely the same as well, despite all their specialities. You go to one rather than the other because you like them, because of the stories that they tell or don't tell. Because the story you have is the only thing you've got that no one can take from you. So why wouldn't you use it? You know, if this has been useful to you, do the like and subscribe and YouTube stuff. There's in the description there's a PDF version of this which you can download, because I've no doubt you weren't taking notes. And I'll see you next time.